So your last name is Myers, right?
Yeah.
Shaquila Myers.
Shaquila Myers.
Well, this is great. Thanks for coming on. I don't know if we've ever met.
I don't think we have. Good to meet you.
And you've been in Lansing for 15 years or so?
Yeah, almost 20. 18 years.
Yeah, so you would have been here when Granholm was here?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's I did actually get appointed to the civil service under Granholm in the late maybe 2008 or two.
Yeah, that would have been around the time I started.
Whenever we had to shut the government down because we couldn't do the budget, that's when I got appointed because the commissioners didn't want to vote, and so they resigned, and I went on to. But you're born and raised in Detroit.
Yes, born and raised Detroit, East Sider.
East Sider, what does that mean? Like, what suburb or just Detroit?
Yeah, like Detroiters generally will represent themselves by the side of town they're from. Whether you're an East Sider or West Sider, it's kind of that demarcation. And then, Detroit people will always say, well, what school did you go to? Because, a lot of people say, I'm from Detroit. But then you ask them and it's like, well, I'm really from Southfield or I'm from Oak Park.
Yeah.
So you got to ask two questions.
Birmingham, right, yeah.
Right. You got to ask two questions. What side of town and what high school did you go to?
Do you have siblings?
I do. I'm the youngest of 3 girls.
Okay. And what do your parents do?
My dad worked for Ford and retired from Ford. And my mom did a number of factory jobs. She was a seamstress. She just did jobs. My parents were older, and they are the story of a lot of Black Americans in this country. They moved from the South. They were both from Mississippi. They met here and moved to Detroit really to work in auto plants.
Work on the promise of getting a job and sort of the promise of middle class, right?
And, my sisters went to college. My middle sister graduated from U of M, and I graduated from OU. So we're the living promise, right?
When would your mom and dad have moved here?
My mom moved here probably in 1974.
Okay.
And my dad, I'm not sure. My dad passed away in 1998. Okay. So, but my parents were 40 and 45 when I was born. So they, had both lived a little bit of life, and
right.
I was kind of a surprise.
I think my dad might have been that old, but maybe not. Maybe not really sure. 29 to 65 would have been the 35 or 36 when I was born, but.
Your dad was born in 29?
Something like that.
Mine was born in 36.
Yeah. So, what was that like growing up in Detroit in that era?
It was interesting. I mean, I think
you would have been born in when?
81. I was born in 81.
Yeah.
So I grew up in the, 80s, 90s, and you only know what you know, right? You think to me, it was a great childhood. I was very close to my cousins. My sisters are 15 and 6 years older than me. So I had an extended family, right? I had a lot of second cousins that were closer to my age. And I had 2 cousins that I went through school with. And so family means different things to different people. But my cousins were like my siblings. We were like a big family. Everyone lives close. My mom kind of lived in the center of everyone, so I was never more than 5 minutes away from a cousin. And so
great.
Yeah, it was a good childhood. Amusement parks in the summer and
Boblo
road trips.
Island?
Boblo. Went to Boblo. State Fair in Detroit, right?
Yeah.
My first concert was I'm a big music fan. My first concert was at the State Fair, Boyz II Men and Genuine in 97 or 98.
The drug culture was pretty serious in the 80s, and sort of the gangs. And Coleman Young was our mayor, I think, right?
Yeah.
And I think that would have been prime time for what was his name, Rick White Boy.
Yeah, White Boy Rick. What was the gang? There was a big gang. My mom was very protective though, so none of that stuff really touched us. I had some cousins that, that maybe were low time drug dealers. They went to jail.
But you could be a saint and still be impacted. A lot of innocent people were killed, and
Yeah.
Not saying that was that could happen anywhere. It could happen in Lansing and Grand Rapids and obviously Benton Harbor and St. Joe area. But what high school did you go to, Fenney?
I went to Finney High School, so Highlanders.
Okay. And did you play sports or not?
I did, but I played the nerd sports. I played tennis and golf.
Oh, what's wrong with that?
Well, it's just not a thing that when people think of Detroit
Right.
public schools and they think of sports, they're
You
like,
still have to have people try out for those teams.
not really, because the tennis team didn't exist. It was like, because they had no players. So my friends and I, we were in honors classes and we kind of like drummed up a tennis team, and then so tennis was in the fall, golf was in the spring, summer.
Right.
So it was the same group of girls. But like my sister was basketball player, went to U of M on a basketball scholarship.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So like she was the athlete. I had some other cousins that were athletes, and so tennis and golf was not in the late 90s. I'm the same age as like Serena Williams, right? Like tennis was not a game that black people in Detroit played.
Right,
I mean, some did, but not where I grew up.
Yeah, Malachi Washington would have, but he was way after that. He
Yeah.
was more in the Todd Martin era. What college must have been a big deal in your household?
It was important to go to college. It was stressed that like, you got to do something, right? I could have gone to trade school, could have gone to the military. My cousins went to the military. But my mom really thought like you should be focused on college. So I was valedictorian.
Oh, really?
Graduated first in my class, straight A's, 1B, and I had a number of academic scholarships to go to what now is known as the Detroit Promise. It wasn't that back then. It was a number of different other programs, but essentially something very similar to what is known now as like the Promise scholarships. I was able to go to any public school in the state of Michigan for free for tuition. Chose OU because I wanted to be a physical therapist, and OU had a great physical therapy program.
Really good.
Yeah. So got my bachelor's in health science with a minor in exercise science, and then decided I didn't want to be a physical therapist.
Really? So then what?
So I went to grads. I started looking at
How far was Oakland from where you lived?
about 35, 40 minutes.
And did you live on campus?
I lived on campus. My mom was a big proponent of moving away.
Get out of the house.
Get out of the house, see something different. So I worked in clinics while I was in college and just decided that didn't want to do that for the next 40 years.
Right. So then what?
My mentor suggested the public administration program. She was like, it's one of those degrees.
What does that mean? Your mentor.
So part of my scholarship, I was a member of a program that had provided mentors and provided like essentially like a little bit of a wraparound service for first generation college students. And it was back then, this is pre affirmative action being repealed. There was an Office of Equity that again helped you as a first generation college student from, lower middle class, acclimate to college. And so those relationships remained. But
you can have those relationships and not use them. The fact that today you're referring to somebody as your mentor, obviously, she did more than just was a name and a place.
She absolutely was. Her name is Gloria Sosa. I still talk to her to this day. We'll message each other from time to time.
How old is she?
Well, she was working on her PhD. She was an adult at that time, so I'd say she's probably late 50s, maybe.
So maybe 10 years older than you or something?
10, 15.
I don't know how old you are. I'm just saying if she was working on her PhD when you were 18 or 19, she would have been.
Well, she was an employee and had been employed for a while. Right. So, yeah, but I think went back to school and so she's Dr. Gloria Sosa now.
Okay. Yeah. And so while you're in school, this is somebody you can call and she can counsel you and
I could go into
professional
her office.
Advice and you leaned on that.
I did. I was kind of lost because what do you do after you spend 4 years and you in college and you don't know what to do? And she suggested I look at a graduate program. The MPA program was one of the Masters of Public Administration.
I'm trying to think. So, born in 81, you would have been 99. You would have graduated from high school, and then 4 or 5 years later is 2004, 2005.
Yep,
right?
that's exactly right. That's your timing.
And so you graduate. You're not going to become a PA. And Oakland has one of the best PA schools in the state, if not the country.
Yeah, it does.
So then you're like,
what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I'm working. I worked at.
It doesn't sound like you're going to med school.
No. And so, but I had that, like, I wanted to help. I wanted to change the world, make a difference.
How'd you do it academically?
Well, that was part of the problem. My grades were not great. My science grades weren't great. I didn't have a great foundation.
Did you have fun?
I did have fun. I did. I was active in student organizations, but I was just not great at science. I'm decent at math, good at the social sciences, not good at the hard sciences. Physics was like a foreign language to me.
Right.
I hear lawyers aren't good at math, so I'm gonna guess that you maybe can relate to that.
I'd be a skeptic of any lawyer who wasn't good at math. Math is a philosophy, and so is the law.
Okay.
So if you can understand math, you can understand the law.
Okay.
But I get the concept. Well, I'm not good with numbers. It's like, okay, so I went to law school. It's like you're gonna struggle in law school too.
Well, maybe it's science. I don't know. But either way, physics stomped me. It was like a foreign language.
Yeah.
And so my science grades were not great. The rest of my grades were great. English, writing, my math grades were decent. But like I excelled more in like writing and speech and that kind of thing. I had like 3 5s and above there.
So potentially law school, or
probably should have gone to law school.
Or what, public policy. I mean, was it a foregone conclusion that you would get a graduate degree?
I think so, because I mean the physical therapy degree was a doctorate program, so it was a foregone conclusion in my mind that there was something after undergrad.
Right.
So, yeah.
Education wise,
yes.
And did you try and look for a job or no?
I did. I looked for jobs at nonprofits because it was really, I think at that point, I really just wanted to help people, and I didn't want to be a social worker. A lot of my friends were doing social work. A couple of them were in communications and media.
And would Kwame have been the mayor at the time?
Kwame was.
Because I know that Archer followed Coleman Young, and then I'm not sure.
Kwame was mayor at the time. Kwame was mayor. And I knew a little bit about politics, but I'm not from a political family.
Right.
Like, we vote. My mother is very much a strong advocate for voting. She, again, reminding you of their age, she grew up in the Jim Crow South, and we're Americans, but she was a Black American in the South. She couldn't vote. She could not vote until like the late 60s, early 70s. And so she never misses.
Meaning, when we see the shows on TV, I think Oprah played somebody where she went in and they asked her questions like, "Can you, whatever,
the poll tax or the poll test,
recite the Declaration of Independence, some innocuous test that you shouldn't have to take." That's why she couldn't vote. Very
real thing. Yes. Yeah. And so to this day,
Bull Connor. I think it was a movie about Bull Connor. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a real life.
Was that Mississippi or was that Alabama?
Bull Connor was Alabama, but Mississippi was the same way. Yeah.
John Lewis, that bridge was in Alabama. Yeah. Okay.
And so we take voting very serious, but other than that, I had not been active in campaigns. And so,
and it wasn't something that you sat around and talked about at the dinner table that, about, let's see. So Clinton would have been the president 92 to 2000, and then we had George W. Bush right when
I turned 18. Yeah. That was the first election I voted in. But my mom took me to, she always took me to the polls with her when she could. So again, I grew up knowing that voting is a responsibility, right? It's just like you pay taxes, you vote. It's your civic
But
duty.
you're also not making political connections when you're in college. You're not active. You're not.
No.
You're not. Yeah, and you're not studying poli science or pre-law.
No. But ironically enough, some of my friends in college, I mean, I went to school with Michael McGinnis, who's now the current mayor of Pontiac, right?
There you go.
I've a friend of mine that went to school. My best friend in high school worked for the Obama administration. She got into politics at the same time I did, you know. So I had a cousin that worked in the state house way before I did. So it's like, I had snippets, but I didn't know any of that until later when I started in politics. I found out all these other people had done that work, or my friend who worked for the Obama administration, she started in '08 when I did, right? So to say that like I didn't
Started what?
she started working in politics. She worked the Obama campaign.
And that's when you started
Yes.
working for Tate?
I started with the state senate.
Oh, okay.
My first job in politics was I was a policy analyst for the Senate Democrats. So essentially, you work for the entire caucus on an assigned issue.
That's after.
That's after grad school.
So, but what my
mostly.
question is, you get done with undergrad, and you go to this mentor person, Doctor
Sosa, yeah.
Sosa, and you say, "I don't know what the fuck I'm doing," or that's
Pretty
right,
much,
that's
yeah.
the way I would say it. But I don't know what I'm gonna do. And what does she say to you?
She said you should consider graduate school. She
Which you would, which was you were open to, but isn't that the question?
Yeah.
Like
what program? And
Right.
the MPA program was one that she suggested just because there were a lot of different options. I could work in politics. I could work for a nonprofit, and I could stay in that like make a difference field.
Did that excite you?
Kind of, but physical therapy was such a concrete path, right? Like,
Right.
or it's like engineering. You're going to be an engineer. I knew I was going to be
Qualified. You're qualified to do something.
Yes.
But
but the MPA program felt ambiguous, and I didn't know exactly what I was going to
it
do.
doesn't really qualify you any more than with an undergrad degree.
Not really. I mean, a lot of my coworkers don't have second degrees.
Did you push back against her, or did you just?
Did because I didn't want to go back to school. I thought I was done. I mean, when I made the decision to not go to physical therapy school, I was like, oh no, what am I going to do? Well, at least I'm done with school. But then I quickly shifted to I'm probably not done with school. But the only thing I knew was like an MBA or become a teacher. I didn't know what an MBA
What are you? Are you paying for your own tuition?
for grad school. I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got to get student loans. I'm working because I got to pay
How
rent.
much is that?
When it was all said and
30,
done,
30 grand, 20 grand?
30, because I took at that time they gave you the refunds to for living expenses. And so when I'm done, it's probably 60,000. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And then I'm out of
And
school
no
making,
guarantee you're gonna get it.
well, my first job out of grad school, in grad school, I was making $24,000 a year.
Yeah.
You're never paying loans off with that.
Oh, you can't even pay for a car hardly.
No. So then that was at my first
Tell me when you
job.
graduate from.
Well, I graduated in 2010, but I took 2 years off.
Yeah.
So I finished most of my coursework in '08, and then I started in politics, and then I started thinking about law school, and I'm like, well, let me finish this degree. So I finished the master's.
08 would have been the Obama campaign,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
And did you work on that?
No, I worked on a state house campaign. By then I'm hired in with the Senate, and so I'm working in the Senate full time, and then I'm taking a week here. And
Who
I'm
are you working with?
His name was Tim. Oh gosh, what is his name? Now I've forgotten. You put me on the spot.
But was it
He
a senator? Or
It was
just
a first time candidate. He was running for state rep down in Grosse Pointe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Republican or Democrat?
Democrat.
Okay.
Democrat. I'm working for the Senate Democrats, and then I'm doing campaign work on the weekends.
When you're working for the Senate Democrats, that's at the Capitol? Mm-hmm. Who are you working with? Like,
I work for the caucus, so I
Right.
work for all of them. And the leader at the time was Mark Shower. So
Okay.
essentially, Shower is the boss, but we work on issue areas instead of specific.
and was
person.
Whitmer in the Senate
Yes.
at the time?
Yes, that's how I met her.
Okay.
Yep.
And so you're working then in, 2008, we're 1 year into the Great Recession, right?
Yep.
And politicians somehow have to save the world.
Yeah, yeah. They take a 10% pay cut. We take furlough days where we're unpaid, and you figure out the budget crisis. Right. I came in right after the big shutdown and all of that. I came in about 6 months
Shut
later.
down for the state of Michigan?
Yeah. Remember when they what was it when they passed the Michigan business tax and
We were running on a deficit, right? We needed to pass a tax, right?
So yep, I started about 6 months after that.
And the outlook was pretty bleak.
It was.
They were holding hearings in D.C. about whether to give money to the autos.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was pretty.
It was
pretty
interesting
dire
times.
for the state of Michigan. Granholm was our governor,
Yep.
and you got $60,000 in debt and $24,000 a year or $30,000.
Yeah,
whatever.
that job I think $35,000 a year.
Did you love it?
I did. I felt like I had found my people maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you can be around your people, but maybe not love the job. Did you
I
love?
loved the job. It was really interesting because it was my first time in a political setting, right?
What are you doing?
Like,
what are you doing? Like,
it's-
if you show up to work, what do they do at the House physical? And you're a Dem, and were you in the majority?
We were in the minority, but it was
Right.
18-20. So it was 18 Democrats, 20 Republicans. And so it was pretty close. You needed Dems to pass what's called immediate effect. So we were active players. What did a typical day look like? Session. If you had bills on the floor, you're kind of informing members what your bill does. If you have bills in committee, you're maybe preparing amendments. You're explaining the pros and cons of the bill to your member. But again, most action is on the floor, right? Because you're kind of helping the entire caucus. Like, here's what this bill means, and then based on their philosophies, they vote yes or no.
They don't read the bill and have their own internal.
They do, but you read a lot of bills, and you think
Right.
about on top of you're in session, you're in committee, you're at public events all day. You still have a life. Like, when are you gonna read and do the deep
You
research
want to
on
make sure
everything?
you understand it.
Yeah.
And that's what you're
Yeah, and every bill is not 3 pages,
right.
And then you essentially become a subject matter expert, right? Like, I became a subject matter expert on like transportation funding. And so when somebody is asking about like a bill that's related to transportation, they don't have most of the vehicle code
Right.
memorized, right? Like, you're reading a snippet when you're reading a bill,
Right.
and then so they have questions, and I'm the person that would answer the questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you you're a subject matter expert in transportation, and you have presumably senators who want or their staff saying, "Hey, what does this mean? What does this do? And where do we stand on this?"
Yeah. Yeah. Who's opposed to it? Who supports it? I want to prepare an amendment, so I'd get amendments prepared. Lawyers write the amendment, but we were also taught that in a pinch how to write certain amendments, not the super technical ones. But yeah, so you get a little bit of variety. When Snyder wanted to fix the roads, I'm gonna fast forward. Like, I worked with now Governor Whitmer, but then she was the leader on a roads plan from a Democratic position, right? Same thing when she got elected. I worked on her transition team because I was part of her Fix the Roads team, right? So we put together a few different plans. None of those plans actually are what eventually became law, but it's a starting point, and that's how politics work, right? Like you have a plan, and then you do the plan that you can actually get the votes on.
Right.
Yeah.
And what and so you would have been there in the Snyder era.
I was.
Right? And what'd you think of him and his terms?
My initial impression of him was he was a guy that wanted to fix the state, right? Like he wanted to put the state on a path of prosperity. I've worked for Democrats, but most people that know me know that I'm not hyper partisan, right? Like I want to do good work.
Right.
And I saw him as somebody that also wanted to do good work.
Mainly a moderate, I would say.
Yeah.
Even if he was a Republican, he was on the moderate
He
side
was.
of the.
He was. I agree with that. And I think that, you're not going to agree with everybody, even people in your own party.
Right.
He wanted to get things done, and he wanted to find a consensus. And a lot of times that was your moderate Dems and Republicans.
Right. And ultimately, what do you think about the Flint water vis-a-vis him?
So by then I moved all the central staff, and I'm working for the senator from Flint. The leader is Jim Ananick. He represents Flint, Michigan. He's drinking the water. And we immediately know there's a problem, right? Because he's getting sick. His neighbors are sick. The water smells. I think it kind of ruins Snyder's, well, not kind of, it did ruin his legacy because they ignored people for so long. They ignored the people that were living there and would not listen. And again, had it not been the work of like Dr. Mona and other people who like actively like exposed what happened, they would have continued to deny it.
Right. And we I think for the most part we've fixed the water problem, right?
The pipes have been completely replaced in Flint. Governor Whitmer completed that. It was not completed before. But it was a years long process.
But the litigation is still going.
The litigation might still be going.
I get 5 to 10 emails a day.
Yeah, it might be. I was not as involved in the litigation side because I'm not a lawyer, but I know that the pipes have been replaced. There's been some other water work around the state, but I mean, again, back to our pre-discussion about infrastructure, right? Like infrastructure is super expensive, and nobody thinks they should be the one to pay for it.
Right.
And so, like, it's a really hard conversation in my current work, in my past work.
How long can we go and defer the fixing it?
Yeah.
The short-term fix on the budget.
I mean, we ride on roads every day, and no one wants to their taxes raised to pay for that. Far be it, no one wants to think about the stuff they can't even see, right? When you think about the electric grid, or you think about the pipes, or you think about it's not a problem. People don't see it as a problem until it's too late.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, just drive in any other state on their roads.
Yeah.
And it's obvious that our roads are.
Yeah.
And having said that, I do think our roads are getting better. I mean.
They are.
Yeah, there was a period of time when I would get a flat tire every 60 days, and it could have been my car, but it's much better today. Yeah. So you leave the Senate. Is it Senate Fiscal or
Senate? Central staff.
You leave there
policy.
To go where?
I leave policy after about 7 years, and I go work for Jim Ananick when he becomes the Senate minority leader. So right after Gretchen Whitmer was leader, Jim Ananick was the next leader. I'm his legislative director. So I'm working in a leadership office. I worked there for 4 years.
And you worked directly for a senator?
Yes.
Did you work for Whitmer?
I did not work directly for her, but when she was leader, I was still part of central staff.
I got you.
Yeah.
So you get to know her, obviously, and that's an important connection.
Yes.
And are you building a reputation?
I think so. I think so. I'm building a reputation as someone who can work across the aisle. I am maybe a decent communicator, and I have relationships with Dems and Republicans, and I'm able to, by the time Ananick is leader, we're in a super minority. We got 11 members, and the Republicans have 28 members.
70, so this is 2015. This is just before Trump gets elected, right?
Yeah, yep, yeah. And so we're down to our lowest numbers that we've had in, in recent memory,
Well,
maybe
how
ever.
how do you explain that?
Well, I mean, midterm. So the Senate elections are the midterm years or the gubernatorial years. Turnout is a little bit lower. The maps were gerrymandered. And so they were drawn for the Republicans to have a supermajority.
Right.
And when you're in the minority, they'd been in the minority since 1983 at that point.
The Republicans?
No, the Dems had been in the minority
Yeah.
since 83 in a special election. And so it's hard to sell the idea of winning a majority when you've been in the minority for so long. It's a given. You're going to stay in the minority. And what I mean, one of the things that I learned from Ananick is that, he was going to be, so he won a special. He was going to be the rare person that actually could lead for 2 terms. Because he essentially was starting, because of term limits, he could do 2 4-year terms. And so he devises a plan, like, we're going to pick up X amount of seats in my first reelect. And then in the second one, we'll pick up another amount of seats. And that's how we'll get to a majority. And then, and he starts like really like pushing his plan. He's a good fundraiser. He's an engaging guy.
Flint's kind of a popular cause, right?
Flint's a popular cause. And his approach is such that, like, from the beginning, he wanted Snyder to pay people's water bills because the water was so expensive. And they said no, they said no, they said no, until they said yes, right? He has that dogmatic way about him. And it works, right? So first re-election comes in 18, and Senate Dems pick up 5 seats. It's the most they've ever picked up, or they've picked up.
Just like he said.
Just like he said. And so people start to believe the hype.
Right.
And so in second, I'm gone by this point, but the second part of his leadership, he's really selling this idea like, hey, we picked up 5 seats. I told you we were going to pick up these seats. So I'm going to keep raising money. And then fast forward to 2022 and they pick up another 4 seats, and they get the majority for the first time in 40 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you, and I think Gretchen, was she elected in 2018?
She was elected in 18, which again, gubernatorial year, she wins by like 6 or 8 points, which again,
which is a big number.
Which is a big number and helps the Senate Dems pick up, right? Like if your turnout for a Democratic, as the top of the ticket goes, so does the rest of it.
So
probably.
Tell me why you leave Ananick when everything is kind of,
on the upswing. Well, they're still in the minority, and the opportunity to work for a governor, it's hard to say no. Have you met her? You've met her.
I've known her a long time.
It's hard to say no to her.
I've known her since she was in law school, and I think her mom clerked for my dad.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. So, but I didn't know her then, but I knew her. I remember walking into a pretrial, and she was sitting on the other side, and I introduced herself, and she had a big smile, pretty easygoing, and she was interning for the prosecutor's office. I don't know when that would have been, and she was dating a guy named Dave Gregory at the time, and I knew some lawyers at the firm he was working at, so I knew her.
Well,
I mean, I didn't have her number, but we would run into each other at the bar or whatever, and she's always been very not more than nice to me. Very warming and intelligent, and
she's hard to say no to, right? And like the opportunity to work for a governor.
So she's running for governor, or she hires you after she gets elected?
She hires me after. I mean, I did a little bit of volunteer work for her while she was running.
We all did.
We all did. That's right. Because again, hard to say no.
Right.
So I get invited to work her transition team, which I had never. I had no idea what a transition team was. But you got essentially 49, 50 days to turn over the whole state government to a new administration, and so. This is where the campaign promises translate to like actual policy.
What's that like? Somebody reaches out to you and says, "We want you to work," or do you reach out to them?
No, they reach out to you.
Who?
They. Person that's part of her.
Not the governor.
Not her. No, because it's a pretty big team. So one of her like senior people reaches out and calls you and says, "We'd like you to come work on the transition." it's gonna be
Because
hard
her
and miserable.
campaign was fix the damn roads.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're the expert on roads.
I'm no, yeah,
right.
yeah. So
And you had a long history
of working with her on
with the Dems
Yeah.
and transportation. Yeah, that only makes sense, right?
And mind you, I'm the junior person on the team, right? Because I got 10 years in, my partner got 20 years in, and each
Your
of the
partner where
my partner on the policy team. So each of the
policy for the governor?
yeah, for the
Okay.
transition. So
the
each of the
transi-
policy team people, each policy issue had 2 people.
And who was the senior person?
A person. I don't know that.
I mean,
No one
it's
really
probably-
talks about
It's
it.
probably a public record, but I mean, it doesn't matter.
I don't know
it doesn't.
that it's public record because we weren't state employees.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's why I'm like, I did not.
Yeah,
I
that's
want to
fine.
be invited back to Fight Club.
Yeah, right.
So, but yeah, so it's like a 2-person team, and you work on essentially the campaign promises or the policy issues that the governor wants to tackle.
And particularly, I think this is right. In 2016, 2017, she ran on Fix the Damn Roads.
Yeah,
right?
she did. Yeah. So it was a pretty hefty job because
Right.
you got to establish how much do you need to fix the roads, and then how are we going to get there.
And didn't Schneider pass a tax that was sort of set aside to pay for road improvements?
Yes. So the original thing that he did was a ballot initiative, and the ballot initiative failed. It was too complicated. But that's what you could get the votes on, right? Like something that a person who has a lot more experience in politics used to say to me, the only numbers that matter are 56, 20, and 1. You need 56 votes in the House, 20 votes in the Senate, and 1 signature by a governor. And and when it's all said and done, you can have the best ideas, but if you can't get those, can't get those votes, it doesn't matter. So the only thing he could get votes on at the time was the ballot initiative. Goes to the ballot, it gets 30% of the vote, it fails, and so they go back to the drawing board. And I think they set aside $600 million for general fund.
I was gonna say
And then-
500. I was
yeah.
gonna say 500, but 600.
Yeah, it's 500 or 600, and then they do a gas tax increase that
Right.
maybe raises another 500 million. Like it's not just gas tax. It's a combination of registration fee
Right.
and gas tax.
But they have to put that money aside because
Yes.
it's not necessarily all in the first year, right?
It wasn't. It grew each
Right,
year
right.
until, but registration and gas tax automatically go to the road funds.
Right.
Like when you raise those are going to roads because they're by law that's the fund that they're directed to.
right.
Yeah.
So you got to work on this, and they call you, right?
They call me. Yeah.
right, and you got a good gig,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And I leave for
What's
what I
that
think.
like?
Well,
What's that like when you get the sort of offer and you got to go into your boss? Not that you must have known him, but not like you were super like invested in him. But you,
I was. We had a really good relationship. We still have a good relationship.
Yeah.
He's a good guy. I go in and I tell him that I'm gonna leave.
How old are you?
I am probably 37 years old.
Okay, so
37.
it's not like you're 18 or not.
Yeah.
You're
And the plan was only to leave for 40 days. I was only gonna leave like end of November. I was not gonna be there for lame duck, which was kind of tough, but still,
Right.
I'm gonna be gone until January 1st. I'll be back January 1st after I'm done with this. Well,
He probably knew.
I'm sure he did because he is wiser than me.
Right.
And so I'm there. I get, I have conversations about potential jobs. And the lieutenant governor offers me a position on his staff. And it's chief of staff to the lieutenant governor, which maybe I'm ambitious, right? I'm 37 years old, first black lieutenant governor, software engineer, really smart guy, and I'd be the first black woman chief of staff to a lieutenant governor in this state. So we have a good working relationship. I think it seems like we can get along. I don't know him, but he seems like a smart guy. So I say yes. So
And tell me, It's Anadich.
Ananick is
Ananik. And when is he done with his 2 terms?
he's done in 22. So I now leave him before he starts his second term.
Yeah, so you had a sort of a longer profile, hopefully, with the governor than you do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're chief of staff,
To the lieutenant governor. Yeah.
which can be a disaster at the beginning, right?
It is a very hard job because no one tells you what to do, and
Right.
we're all figuring it out. But it was a wonderful experience.
And yeah, on the one hand, a lot of that is dictated by your lieutenant governor, right? Yes. And he's new at it.
Yes,
right?
and by your governor, right? Because in some states, governors and lieutenant governors have really like governors control these departments, lieutenant governors control these departments. Right. Michigan's not like that. In Michigan, the lieutenant governor has 2 duties. He's governor when the governor is out of state, or they are governor when the governor is out of state, and they're president of the Senate. And the rest of it is kind of like
it's eye candy.
Yeah, well, it can be. He decided, again, smart guy. He decides he wants to work on criminal justice reform, and so we jump headfirst into.
Did they pass?
We passed clean slate within the first 2 years.
What about the public defender? Was that under Schneider?
The settlement was under Snyder. That was under Snyder. But the
clean state had to do with expungement.
The automatic expungement, expanding what is eligible. Then there was that juvenile justice, raised the age. I think passed under Whitmer. It had been floating around, but it was so expensive.
The YTA.
Yeah, is that what I mean? I know.
Home's Youthful Trainee, they raised it to 26, I think.
No, this was the. Oh gosh, it's you can have juveniles in the
jail.
Yeah, like it was. But there's a lots of other pieces that was not my issue, so I couldn't really tell you.
So were you chief of staff for Ananick?
I was not. No, there was somebody
now you're
else.
Chief of staff.
Now I'm chief of staff for the first time,
and probably people on his staff that are been around a long time.
Well, majority of our staff, the lieutenant governor staff, they're pretty young.
Okay.
Honestly, like the governor's staff is relatively young. It's a mix, right? Like,
yeah, I think highly of a lot of the people.
Yeah.
On her staff.
Yeah.
Orlane Hawks and Trish Foster and
Foster is the best.
Yeah. There's some other Patty Washington, I think.
Yeah, but they're all like department directors. You got the internal staff, the comms team, the policy team, those different
general counsel.
General counsel, all of those people work.
That was Mark Cotton. Does your boss have a general counsel or not?
No, we all fall under the executive office.
Okay.
Yeah. So I jump into clean slate. We do.
And what does that mean?
So. We're just helping to get the policy to a point where the governor can sign it. So the House passes a package.
And does she have a majority now?
No, we're still in the minority.
Okay.
This is when Chatfield is speaker and Shirky is leader.
Oh, man.
And Chatfield was Chatfield's staff and people in the House and gosh, I'm blanking on his name. Graham Feller is the chair of judiciary, and he is very passionate about criminal justice reform. And so, and so there's a little bit of a coalition between Graham Feller, David LeGrand is the Democrat in the House that's really passionate about it. Then in the Senate, you have Pete Lucido, you have Stephanie Chang, and then in the executive office, you got the lieutenant governor.
Pete's my guy.
Pete's
my guy.
Clean slate would not be done without
Lucido and the Aboods go back a long way.
Really?
Yeah, my dad thought highly
of Pete.
Of Jackie Lucido. I mean, they were best. They were really.
Is that Pete's head?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
But LSU,
yeah. So Pete is also an OU grad.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
He's great to work with.
Yeah.
I know he's taken some heat for some of his stuff, but everybody does. We all deserve it.
I mean,
but so you're working through 2018, and when do you? I mean, that's kind of got to be exciting, right?
Yeah. It's now 2019. I'm working for the lieutenant governor, and I'm doing
Dark.
policy issues,
Right.
and I'm learning about being in an executive office. It's a good time. So
You like it?
I love it. I
Where
love
do you
it.
live?
Still live in Lansing. I live in
Yeah, well,
Lansing.
you've been in Lansing for the whole time,
Yeah,
right?
yep. I bought a house at this point. And
Where? What neighborhood? I'm not trying to get a specific
Yeah.
address. Like
Well,
what
I
neighborhood?
live right around the Capitol. Not far.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. So I live
Not the
close.
Genesee district, do you? By Sexton?
Yeah.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
I
So-
went to Sexton.
Did you? Okay. Is
Yeah.
that Big Reds? Is that
Yeah.
what they? Yeah.
Well, not any. I don't know. J.
Oh
Dubs.
no, they're
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah.
Yes, I forgot. Sorry.
Yeah, I still refer to him as a big red.
Yeah.
I graduated in '83.
Okay.
Anyway. But okay, so you're living in Lansing.
I'm living in
You're
Lansing.
working for the lieutenant governor.
Yeah.
2019 is you're hustling,
19, 20.
and then
Pandemic
20
hits.
Then 20 hits.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was as hard as we were working that first year, it's now like compounded, right? Because the world's changed and no one prepares, no one prepares you for like what a pandemic is like, right? Like, and I think a lot of people forget that usually pandemics are done on a national level. So states don't have to worry about being prepared
Right,
for pandemics.
right.
So there's no playbook. And it's easy to look back into, times
Trump is
2020.
president.
Trump is president.
Right.
There's, there are issues.
And I don't remember, but in that period, I think it would have been 18 or 19 to 21. Was she getting along with Trump at all? Because she sidled up to him a little bit more this time around.
Well,
I mean, she's gone out to visit it. Whatever you
She
want. I'm not
has.
trying to.
No.
I'm not trying to like
I-
categorize it, but she was. I don't remember her getting along with Trump.
it was tough, right? Like, but she wasn't the only one. People only remember it being her, but they don't remember like the governor of Maryland, who was a Republican at the time. Like Trump intercepted the jet that they were bringing like PPE in. Like she wasn't the only one. Not
Well, I
getting
mean,
along with
but
Trump,
honestly, I'm not.
yeah,
I would only pay attention to her because
we live here.
We
yeah.
live here, and I know, and the other guy that you pay attention to was the guy from New York.
Yeah, Cuomo.
yeah.
Yeah.
But so that was, what's that like? All of a sudden now, are you going into the office once the pandemic hits? Or
Not at first. Not at first. We are all home just like everybody else.
Yeah.
All the state employees, we're all home and working virtually. But we are working 16, 18-hour days, right? Like we're doing
On
calls
what?
on everything, right? Everything's closed, but you got to open stuff up. The executive orders are flying. And I mean, it is taking everybody to like communicate and work on these issues. The executive orders, the people are dying. Like,
especially in Detroit.
yeah, PPE, trying to figure out. I mean, we're starting the Racial Disparities Council, right? Like the LG says, like again, people are dying in Detroit, and it becomes clear early on that like Black people are dying at a faster rate than anybody else, and so it kind of formulates this idea that we should start this Racial Disparities Council to figure out like why is it hitting Black people so disparately, and then you got testing issues, you got PPE issues, the nursing home, you got all the things, right? And so we were working 18 hours a day. I mean, it's not just like the executive orders appeared. That took a ton of work. The lawyers are writing them, but like you're getting input from all these organizations.
Here's a first world. I can't even say it's a first world. It's like a 1% problem. She shut down the golf courses.
Oh my gosh. Yes, that is a 1% issue.
We couldn't play golf.
You couldn't play golf. You couldn't. I mean, it was a lot, but right, like we didn't know how it was spreading.
No, I know. Yeah. It was a weird time.
You look back, and obviously you think, well, that none of this made sense. But easy to look back and say that when we didn't know any of the science, and it wasn't coming, right? Like it was just.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that Trump understood it any better. And, so what I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what you're saying is you got to give people grace when they make decisions in the hopes that they're protecting people.
That was the goal. The goal
Right.
was to protect as many Michiganders as possible, and
And
it
it would have been hard to say, hey, I got to pass a executive order for Detroit and not apply it,
Well, but at the time, in the very beginning, the numbers weren't that we didn't know. Again, you didn't even know
Yes,
how it was
yes,
spreading.
that's
Do
my
you remember
point.
we were wiping down the grocery bag? You had to wipe down your groceries with Clorox wipes.
I remember telling myself, I'm probably not going to die from this. This is probably not the way I'm going to go, so I'm not going to worry about it too much.
Well, I mean, it's
And I
nice
had
that you could feel
I
that
had
way.
the grace to be
Yeah.
able to say that, but I just thought, I'm maybe I figured I have to work and I have to go to the office and I have to, but it did. I look back at the photos where I'm at home in the middle of the day or, doing stuff in my house, and Channel 10 is coming to interview in my backyard, and I think, why was I doing it there? And then I realized, oh yeah, it was a pandemic.
Yeah. And again, we didn't have the science early on, and people were dying. I mean, a state rep died early on, right? And then like a lot of Detroit, again, a lot of Benny Napoleon died, and Morris Hood died, and all of these people that most of my political life I had known, they were
Right.
dying. And again, these were seemingly healthy people.
James Butler and Eva Evans and a lot of people in Lansing we lost.
Yeah. And so it was just, again, I agree with your earlier point about giving grace, because the intent was to keep people safe, right?
Right.
Like we weren't like every aspect of life was affected, and stuff you never had to consider. You now got to think about, like, is this safe? What's the safest way that
Couldn't
someone
drive
can
up
do
north.
this?
You couldn't drive up north.
You couldn't bury people. You could not.
Yeah, I remember I had the ability to get vaccinated early because they were vaccinating lawyers in Wayne County
Okay.
to handle criminal,
Oh, to handle criminal cases.
so we
Okay.
could somehow get our name on a list, and I got vaccinated and got my second one, and I remember thinking, well, I'm never gonna need this card to prove. There's never gonna be a scenario where I'm gonna have to prove that I'm vaccinated, and I can't remember. 3 or 4 months later, I was someplace, and they said, I need to see you.
Yeah.
You couldn't go to the basketball games without your vaccination.
And if you travel to other states, I mean, like, if we're fast forwarding to like 21, 22,
Yeah,
when like stuff is open,
Right.
you still had to, like, you had to be vaccinated. You had to,
yes.
if you left the country, again, we're talking about in 21, 22,
Yeah.
certain countries, even in 2022, we're still wearing masks.
Yes.
So,
I was in Ireland in 22, and a friend of mine, we had to test to get back into the country, and we were riding in the same van the whole time, and 3 of us tested negative, and 1 of us tested positive. And it
oh
was
my
like,
gosh.
he was panicked.
Yeah.
But he got back in. Somehow he got back in.
But I mean, it was just it's a very unique time. I think there are people that still haven't really grieved what they lost at that time, but it was a really just.
Would you have wanted to be anyplace else but right in the middle of it?
Wanted to be anywhere else, I think.
You would have,
Yeah.
but you never walked away because you could have.
I could have,
Right?
but
I mean, that's sort of, you're right in the middle of it, right?
yeah. And I probably only considered it once, and it wasn't because it was more of a personal, like, I just wanted, like, I was so tired.
Yeah.
I was so tired, but I didn't walk away. You're right. I didn't. I stayed through the entire first term. I did change jobs. I worked for lieutenant governor for the first 3 years. At the end of 2021, I moved to the governor's staff because
A promotion?
maybe. I mean, I'm not chief of staff anymore. I'm a senior advisor, but I'm doing a lot of her, like, bipartisan negotiations. So
Or what?
the
Senior
legislature.
advisor for what?
Well, that was
Everything?
the title, anything. Yeah.
Oh, so it wasn't transportation. It wasn't.
No, I did. So the legislature is still Republican controlled.
Right.
And my skill set that I learned working for Anna Nick on getting bills passed in the minority comes in handy, right? Like the legislature's relationship with the governor is not the best because they're Republican, because they're pro-Trump. And
Was that still Lee Chatfield or somebody else?
it's not Chatfield at this point. At this point, it's Jason Wentworth, who's a military vet, very quiet guy, but again wants to get things done and make the world better.
And you have to.
And so
because you have to have a balanced budget,
yes.
right?
And if you remember, also during this time in 2020, there was that dam. There was that
Van
flood.
Johnson.
Yeah, up in like the
Saginaw area.
We had a lot of federal money, but the federal money, it was a timeline on how you had to spend that money. You could only spend it on certain things. The governor doesn't get to just spend money. The legislature has to appropriate money. And so, again, because of me and a number of other people, it wasn't just me, but I did a lot of her like bipartisan negotiations.
But that has to feel like a promotion, doesn't it?
It does. It's
governor,
different. Yeah.
who's different than the lieutenant governor.
Yes.
Says, I want you to,
It is a promotion.
Yes,
it is a promotion.
I don't know about the pay, but it's
the pay went with it.
It's a much harder job.
It was a much harder job.
Yeah.
It was a much harder job because I am working on strict timelines.
Right. And she can be tough.
She can be the legislature can be tough.
Yes, but the governor
can be tough.
Yeah,
right?
and you're in the middle.
Yeah. And she's very clear on these are the things that she wants done by these dates. And so that's my job. I go in and get it done.
Right.
And so I do that all of 2022. It's an election year. And so
but she's not. I mean, with all due respect to the Republicans, I can't remember who she ran against, but it wasn't a heavyweight.
It wasn't. But if you recall, there were like 10 people running against her. There were 10 Republicans.
That probably helps her, but
5 of them got kicked off the ballot.
Yeah.
Again.
Was that when she was? That's when they were out to get her too.
Yeah. The kidnapping. It's all the things, right? It's a lot going on that year, and we're just trying to get things done, and you're trying to win an election. And now we can look back. She won by like 12 points.
But she was never going to.
But there's a saying
there's
in politics.
a lot of people that didn't like her, that were vocal,
yes,
pro-Trump, anti-Biden, but you know what? She was not even,
But there's a saying in politics, you run scared or you run unopposed. And she wasn't unopposed.
Right.
So, and again,
she's a great candidate.
She is a great candidate. Yeah. And so, she was doing the work necessary to win. And in that 22 election, we win the majority in the House for the first time in over a decade, get a majority in the Senate. Again, they're 1-seat majorities, but for the first time, there's a Dem trifecta for the first time in 40.
In 22?
Yeah, in 22.
So starting in 23?
Yeah. So for the first time in 40 years, because we lost the majority. Right. The Senate lost the majority in 83. So for the first time in 40 years, there's a Dem trifecta.
Wow.
And so, and then I take another job and I go.
Where do you go?
I go work for Speaker Tate. He is.
Chief of staff.
Yeah, chief of staff to the speaker. First speaker to represent Detroit in 20 years, 20 plus years.
Yeah, and that's 22 to 24 or
22 to 24.
Or 23 to 25.
Well, 23 to 20. Well, January 1st, 23, he becomes speaker. Well,
December
of 25. 24.
24, because that's when he got.
Yeah,
that's when those bills didn't get. Didn't get submitted or something like that.
Yeah, but that
not his fault. But.
No.
Mm-hmm. But so what's that like?
Interesting. You're
on the other side now.
I am on the other side.
Vis-a-vis the separation of powers.
Yes.
You're in the executive branch now. You're in the legislative
I'm
branch.
back in the legislature.
You're in a position of power.
I am. Again, he's the first black speaker. in Michigan. First black chief of staff, first black woman.
Big presence.
Big presence, big guy, former football player
Right.
for state and then played professionally. And there's a lot of, there's 40 years worth of policy that people want to see done, and they want it all done on the first day.
Right.
Right? And so
You still got to balance the budget.
you got to balance the budget. You got to, Dems want to repeal the pension tax because that was the big Snyder thing.
Right.
Like he gave, he cut the MBT, but create a tax on pensions. They want to raise the working families tax credit, right? So it was like it had been 20%. Snyder cut it to 6%. We raised it back up to 30%. So there are lofty people want to repeal right to work. They want to restore prevailing wage.
That's a union thing.
That's a union thing. You want to extend civil rights to cover gay and lesbian and transgendered people. And we get all that done in the first 6 months.
Oh, you do?
We do.
Wow.
We do. It was not easy because, again, this is my opinion. You have all these people who have 40 years worth of ideas that they want to get done. Number two, you have a majority that has never been in the majority.
Right.
And everybody has ideas on how to get bills
Right.
done.
Not every idea is a good one.
Not every idea, but everybody has an idea on, well, this is how it works. And the speaker hired a person who had actually gotten bills done in the minority, right? Like he hires me to be chief of staff because I have experience with moving legislation, and I have experience working in the Senate, and I have experience working in the executive office. And he's like, come be my chief of staff so we can get stuff done. So we get a lot done
At any
in
point,
6
do you
months.
feel like you're out over your skis too far, or do you have a handle on it, or a little both?
I did not feel like I was out over my skis. Lots of other people had lots of opinions about, I don't know policy. I don't know politics. I don't know this. I don't know how to walk and chew gum. And that's fine,
That's pretty common.
People got
That's
assholes
pretty-
and they got opinions.
Right, that's pretty common criticism of women, and
is.
especially African American women.
It
right?
is. Yeah. And shockingly, it was the liberals, not the Republicans that were saying this.
Right,
It was
right.
it was the people in the caucus that
Because
said
you weren't doing enough. Or
in
you
their
were do-
opinion,
Right.
I wasn't. But
Right.
what are they doing right now?
Right,
Well,
and so you're there, and you're there for 2 years, right? You love it.
I don't love it. I don't love being chief of staff. That's
Okay.
that's my conclusion. But it was one of those things when you've worked in a minority. I think a lot of people will tell you that to be able, I was there when they passed right to work. I was in the Capitol
was Snyder.
when they barred the doors, and
Yeah.
it was 10,000 people on the lawn
Yeah.
in the building.
My brother owned Eden Rock at the time.
Did he? Okay, so he
And
yes.
I think they bought every single Bud Light he had.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was like a Monday. It was the biggest Monday he had ever had. I mean,
it was in
because all the union people showed up,
all-
right?
yeah, it was 8 to 10,000 people on the Capitol lawn the
Yeah.
day of they had a protest.
Right.
Jesse Jackson and Gretchen Whitmer were in the rotunda singing "We Shall Overcome." That's a real story, right? Like, and so I was there that night. So to work, and I was on staff when they tried to expand Elliott Larson's, which is the Civil Rights Act,
Right.
and it failed. And so like it was personal to be able to like actually move like strong democratic things. It was something that I was invested in, and I would have done probably any job to work in the majority and to be a part of that. And it was a great honor to be chief of staff to the speaker.
Sometimes you can hate the job,
Yeah.
and hate all aspects of it, but know that you're the only one that can do it. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Super qualified, and I can do this job, and I can do it really well. Yeah, I hate doing it. You know?
Yeah. And I mean, maybe there are other people that could have done it. They wouldn't have done it like me. I
Right,
mean, but
right.
it would have gotten done. But I mean, I worked again. If you know anything about Speaker Tate, you know that his work ethic is unmatched.
I know
So,
who he is, and
yeah.
I always talk to him when I see him, but I don't.
He's
I'm
a
not
super hard worker. He comes from, again, his dad was a firefighter, mom was a teacher. Again, strong work ethic. we, we knew each other, right? We were friends. And so I knew his work ethic. He knew my work ethic. And again, he's a super smart guy. 3 master's degrees, 1 from State, 2 from U of M. He got a double master's after he was deployed in Afghanistan.
Yeah, so he's he's got a presence.
Has a presence.
This is a bad analogy, but Kwame had a presence too.
Yeah.
He's a big guy, good looking guy, articulate.
Yeah. But Speaker Tate is not a talker, right?
Right.
And so
right.
that was the other thing is, when he hired me, I am a talker, as you can tell.
Good reason though.
Yeah. And so he very much charged me with being the explainer in chief. So a lot of times I would try to talk the caucus through, here's what this looks like. Here's what this means. And again, I had been on the other side of things, but that was often very controversial because people felt like I was the one making the decision. I wasn't. He was. They felt like, I didn't know what I was talking about, but never had any real reason besides I look like this, so I must not know, right? And so, yeah.
So he's term limited at the end.
He's not.
Oh, but he doesn't run.
He ran after the election in 24. We lost the majority. He decided not to run for leader again, just because. It was apparent the caucus just felt like
it moved in another direction.
There were lots of feelings, and he stepped aside. He said, "Okay."
But he's still a state rep?
He's still a state rep.
I got you.
He has announced that, so because of the term limits have changed now, you can do 12 years instead of 6. He's in year 8. He's announced, I think about a month ago, that he's not going to run for re-election again. So, this will be his last year.
And you leave and do what?
I leave and I'm unemployed for a couple months. I go to Paris for a few days.
How do you do that?
How do I do what?
Become unemployed for 2 months. You're a saver?
I am I did save. I did save a little bit. I did save. I didn't take vacation, and because of
you had some.
You get
you
get a little bit of a payout, and and so I don't work for a couple months. I don't live extravagantly, so my mom ended up being very sick at the end of 24. And so honestly, she came up and lived with me. I was able to take care of her for several weeks and nurse her back to health. But so it worked out. If you're a believer, then I believe God works the way he works. And it was actually the perfect time to be unemployed. So after she gets a little better, I go on a short trip to Paris and kind of take in art and reset my life. And then about a week after that, I start in the governor's office as a senior advisor again, but kind of doing more background work, not really forward facing. And I'm there for about 6 months. And then I'm appointed to the Public Service Commission, which is what I'm doing right now.
Mm-hmm. And that's a full-time job?
That's a full-time job.
And your job there is to?
We regulate the investor-owned utilities in the state. So the large utilities, that being DTE and consumers, and then gas and electric, because they're essentially, you regulate both. And then there are a number of Northern Michigan and UP utilities that are also, they're much smaller, but they're investor-owned.
And so what qualifies you to be on the Public Service Commission?
Well, Michigan resident. And, there's a variety of people that are appointed, right? There are some people that are engineers, some people are financiers, some people are lawyers.
How big of a commission is it?
It's a 3-person commission.
Okay.
3-person commission. We have a large professional staff. But the qualifications are a lot more, there's a learning curve no matter what industry you come from. Because I was able to talk to I was able to talk to several people before I accepted the appointment to just know, it's a legitimate question. What about me says I should be on the commission? But I'd done some work on, we did an energy rewrite in 2023. It was a pretty big deal. And I was kind of at the forefront of pushing that across the finish line, which is what put me on the radar.
I mean, the best answer is because the governor appointed.
Because
me.
I'm going to run down
I
the
mean,
resume, but you're right.
You don't have to. You don't have to answer to anybody, right? When the governor appoints you, the governor thought I was qualified.
Yeah.
But the reality of it is, you're right. It's a learning curve for anybody, right? And the question really comes, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong. You can learn.
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
Yes. And I have, right? Like, energy is one of those industries that right now is going through a significant change. And so there is new things. There are new things that we're all learning. When we did that energy rewrite in 23, some additional duties were given to the commission around like solar siting and storage siting and that kind of thing. And so all of those cases will be new to all three of us. So you're right. I can learn. I continue to learn. So do the other commissioners.
How do you like it?
I like it. It takes me back to my roots of being a deep dive into policy. It's a quieter cadence than the legislature, but it is very different because I'm the principal now, right? Like, I'm the commissioner. I'm not working for a commissioner.
How's your staff?
Wonderful. They are, I mean, we have engineers, we have actuaries, we have accountants, and they are the real driving force. Like,
they're the people that make you prepared, right?
Yes. I think you said you were appointed to a commission at one point.
Civil Service Commission.
And so you know how it is. Like, you render your judgment in public, but you do the work privately.
I was appointed by Granholm. It was one Republican, one Democrat, and I think two neutrals. And I don't remember what I was. I think I might have been a neutral at the time.
Yeah. We are like two Dems and a nonpartisan / Republican person. Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, I didn't know anything about what the Civil Service Commission did, but I learned. And the staff was great, and they kept me advised. And, once you learn, then you can be in a position to set policy, and if you work at it and you do your homework, and you're open to learning, and I assume that you have the ability to listen.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, you couldn't have done what you've done with everything else to then, not be somebody who can work with other people.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Do you like it?
I do. I like my colleagues. I like the work. It's interesting work. And again, we're at a point, energy is seeing its first, or the energy field is seeing its first growth or demands on energy. This sounds crazy, since the air conditioner in the 70s, right? Like, that was the last time there was huge growth on the demand for energy.
Wow.
Was when personal air conditioners were invented. And so with, again, you have the EVs and you have data centers and you have all these new demands on the grid, and so energy is at a different point than it's been in several generations.
Yeah, so it's critical.
Yeah.
Both for our, for economics and for our safety, right?
Yes, absolutely. And again, when you think about infrastructure, again, because there hasn't been a demand, I think there hasn't been like a real push to invest in the future of the grid. One of the questions that I randomly would ask people, like when I'm meeting with different organizations and they tell me, people stay in this field for a long time. I'm like, where were you when there was that blackout in like 04, 05 or whatever? Yeah. Like, oh, were you doing this type of work, and what was it like?
Right.
Yeah.
What? So you've lived in Lansing, not quite 20 years.
Yeah, not quite.
What do you think?
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. It's quiet. I will say, like,
it's not Detroit.
It's not Detroit.
It's not home for you.
It's not home, and I've struggled because I have never, like, I shouldn't say I have never. It took a long time to build community for me, right? Because I didn't do anything but work.
Right.
And then I'd go to Detroit on the weekends, or I'd travel a bit, and so I didn't build community. I've now built a community, right? Like, I have friends, and there are things that I do on the weekends, and I got traditions, and so
What do you think of downtown Lansing?
it's very different than when I moved here in '08.
Yeah, it sure is.
I moved here at the boom of Cooley, and there was
Right.
just a lot of, you could have no plans on a Friday or Saturday night, and you could go downtown and, you could have fun. And it's not like that. And I
Do you
mean,
think
granted, I wouldn't be going downtown to hang out with law school students.
Do you
either.
think they'll bring those employees back?
Well, I think it's an election year.
Right.
And not to put, I think the next governor has some decisions to make.
Right.
But I will say this, it will be interesting because the state has done a lot of work restructuring to save money. And so there isn't office space for everybody anymore. And we got rid of
We could find it.
You could find it.
We can find
you
it.
could find it, but that's more money. That's more tax dollars. That
Yeah,
you
I
know.
know. I know.
So
But it'd be good for downtown Lansing.
yeah, I mean, but I also think that we can be creative and figure out there are people like me that still live in Lansing that, if there was things to do downtown, I'd go do them. Right. I still live here.
Right.
I'm still here. So, but I do get the perspective, and I'm not disagreeing or agreeing.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah. And you got to walk a different line. You got to walk a different line, respectfully.
But I do think the next governor will probably come in with thoughts of their own.
I like Andy Shore, and I support him. He's a friend of mine. He's my neighbor. But, the one criticism I have of him is, he should be yelling and screaming to bring the employees back, for all the people and all the, restaurants and small businesses in downtown Lansing and I think that there's a trickle effect that can occur. And for Lansing itself, for a guy that's been born and raised here, I think for Lansing to be at its best, we have to have a downtown that's its
active,
booming,
Yeah.
And it's just a different vibe when the state employees were down there. And I get it, we're certainly not going to see it under Governor Whitmer, but hopefully the next governor will see the wisdom in bringing people back to the offices.
Yeah, it's also hard. You have an employee base that has gotten used to being home and sees that's kind of like. Well,
but they were used to going to the office.
Well, it's true.
They were used to going to, right?
I don't do political work anymore, so
No,
I will leave that.
No.
I will leave that to the politicians.
I was a little nervous about this.
Why?
Because I don't. As far as I know, we've never met.
We've never met.
But you're really intelligent and articulate, and you have a great breadth of wisdom and history.
Thank you.
We've sort of gone back in time here to the Great Recession and the Snyder days. And what do you think of modern day politics? We talk a little bit about Lee Chatfield and Schneider, and
honestly, I miss the days. Not that it was ever perfect, because it wasn't. But national politics is national politics, and local politics had been local politics, and people were able to say, okay, we both want to pick an issue, right? We both want to make progress on education. Here's what I want. Here's what you want. Let's find compromise. And one of the things that made me ready to leave politics was this idea that, well, I need 100% of what I want. I just saw a quote from the president saying the same thing. But it's like, no one gets 100%. Right. Think of your everyday life. Do you get 100% of what you want 100% of the time?
No.
Yeah, that's not, again, 56, 20, and 1. How do you can't get one. Everybody can't get 100% of what they want.
Nobody supports school shootings.
Nobody. Right? So why can't we talk about it?
Everybody wants safe schools,
or
right?
Nobody wants hungry kids.
No, right.
When we did the budget and we did free lunch and breakfast, there were people in the minority party who I mean, for hours, talked about how terrible of an idea pro-life people to feed children. And I was like, oh, I had no idea that feeding children was such a controversial issue, right? Like maybe we can argue about like how to end school shootings. We can't argue about that, right? Because some people think we need more guns, others think we need less. But feeding kids is not controversial. But yet, like, the idea of wiping away school dead so that all the kids can eat together was really controversial, and it shouldn't be. So, I mean, the state of politics, I hope the pendulum swings more back to the middle where we can agree and we can find common ground. But we got to see each other as humans, right? Like I'm never going to get to the point where I feel like I'm willing to trade you thinking I'm a human for a political gain, right? Like I'm never gonna get there with folks who think that like I'm less than and I don't deserve to be here because I'm black or I'm a woman or my age or any other thing.
Do you have plans beyond the Public Service Commission? Public office? Or?
Oh, not that. If you're asking specifically about running for public office, I ran for the Lansing Community College.
You did?
Yep, the board. I ran in 2018.
Oh, I was on. I was on the board. Though.
Yeah, you were on the board. So I ran.
Did you run against? You ran against.
It was Lawrence
Wilbur.
I don't think it was somebody. It was a guy named Lawrence. It was three of us. It was 2 seats open.
Yeah.
Somebody had resigned or something. Yeah. So it was 2 seats open, and it was 3 of us on the ballot. It was Lawrence. I can't remember his last name. And then there was a woman with a, like Lauren or something like that. And then it's a Shaquila, right? It's 6 counties, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I came in third. And
that's too bad. We would have got to work together.
Yeah, we would have. We would have met.
Yeah.
But it worked out because I would have resigned going to work in the governor's office. I would not have been able to work in the governor's office and been on the board because the community college gets state money and it's an incompatible office kind of issue.
Conflict.
So it works out the way it was supposed to. I ran. I don't ever have to see my name on it. Like I ran because I was.
Well, you should run again. You should run again.
Well, I can't do it from this position too because we have strict. Yeah, we have strict rules and the law governs what we can be appointed to and what we can serve on. So I see service as a part of my life, just probably not as an elected official.
Right. Well, this has been great.
Thank you for having me.
Really impressive. I can see why everybody's thought so highly of you, and you've moved up, and great appointment by the governor to the Public Service Commission.
Thank you.
I hope it didn't disappoint you that we sued the city of East Lansing and got a big judgment against.
I did not know that.
On their, it was a Headley issue with regard to a fee attached to the Board of Water and Light bill.
Oh, I mean,
it happens.
Again, what we say about the commission is we are creatures of statute, right? Like we act. And the law is the law. So if you had to sue, you had to sue.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, this has been great.
Thank you.
Thank you.